Good morning. I'm Paul Clivet, and I'm one of the directors of Wolf Software Systems Limited. And I wanted to talk a bit tech this morning. And we have just become partners with MariaDB, and it's really exciting stuff. And I wanted to talk about how we've been using MariaDB for a long time. We've still got some 10.4 version, 10.6, some old 10 versions sitting out there in the cloud. We use just because they're in mission critical situations where we can't really take the database offline for long enough to actually do upgrades and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about some of the tech that we've done. First of all, I'll introduce you to Wolf Territories Grid, and here it is. This is Jimmy from Brazil, just talking to. So this is the game that we own, and it's a massive, basically, it's a huge multiplayer game, and it's based on the OpenSim platform, but we scaled beyond normally. People run the OpenSim platform, so one or two machines. We scaled it right up, and we have about 33,000 different regions on our grid. So that's quite a lot. So I'll just go to the working area to get an idea. There we go. And so this is the idea of this: is you can actually build anything you want within this. Now, to run this chicken, I call it a chicken. It's a multiplayer. Let me pop out of it. Otherwise, I'm going to get hassled. So to run this, we have a big Proxmox cluster. That one, not that one, not this one. A big Proxmox cluster, and all these servers as part of this cluster are running over a vSwitch over different data centers. So basically, we can, if a data center has a problem, then the rest of the servers just kind of carry on. Excuse me. We have a 5-node Galera cluster running here, and it just runs day in, day out without a problem. We back up, it's backed up to object storage. Obviously, we use Proxmox backup itself, but the problem is there we can't use it here because of latency. If you do a snapshot backup, for instance, it'll actually pause the container from a nanosecond, but it's enough to cause an issue if someone's doing something on the database. So because every time somebody moves around in the game, that's a write to the database. So it's quite a lot. So we managed to get this working really well. It took probably 2 or 3 years of just tuning. And I've got to do a shout out to MaxScale as well, because without MaxScale, we wouldn't be where we were. We started off with HA proxy and load balancing HA proxy, but then we went over to MaxScale. We also discovered that the best way to get the latency up was that each container has its own running MaxScale in it. So although we do have a MaxScale server, some container somewhere here, we just open up another few servers. Yeah, we do have a MaxScale container that is actually responsible for acting as a load balancer into the cluster. However, what we found is that here are, if I'll show you this, so here are just 10 small, what we call clusters. They kind of look after the way things happen. But if I go max CTRL list servers, you'll see that there it is all running, and you see the connections are really low, and that's because that's the connections just from this container, because it's talking directly to the local MaxScale. It increases the latency. And the other thing is that all our clusters, the databases, are all on a private network, so we don't risk any attacks from outside. It's quite common. This MaxScale is fantastic. It really is. You can really see what's going on with your cluster, and it's not difficult to set up. It can be a bit difficult to tune it. If you need high latency applications, then that's something that you need to think about, is tuning everything to make sure your network latency is good. Most of the time, people tend to deploy, if we're deploying a small cluster, like 3-node cluster, and most of our clients will have a 3-node cluster to start with, and then we'll build it up as we need to. And sometimes we rarely use Kubernetes, but we will do Kubernetes if it's required. So it's just a dev server sitting behind me. So this is a standard client cluster, and you can see it's got 121 terabytes of NVMe, server grade NVMe running. You can see we've got a load balancer, various things. This one's got a 3-node Galera cluster. You can see there's 3 different servers with a 3-node Galera cluster. And this little Galera cluster here, which I say little, it's got 200 gig of RAM across the cluster, and we're running a Ceph, what's called a Ceph. We're running Ceph storage. So effectively, we've got replication right across the cluster in terms of storage. Like one of the tables has about 1.4 million records right now, and it's just returning them instantly. It's absolutely fantastic. And this is a really new version of MariaDB, which we just upgrade to. And there's some really big improvements in the optimizer that just make it really fast. Their old system was running, that we're rebuilding at the moment, was running on it was running on a couple of Windows-based servers, and when you logged into the system, it was dire slow. It really was slow. So I'm going to talk a bit about Intelligent Wolf now as well. So running all that stuff, that's part of our Wolf stack, which is the way that we build clusters using Proxmox, Kubernetes. We tend to away from putting stuff in Amazon Cloud and Google Cloud and things like that for many reasons. Sometimes it's to do with GDPR and regulation, and the other thing is it's to do with cost as well. We can actually build a cluster for a much better value than you get if you hosted the stuff in those cloud solutions, where you don't really, it's like a bank check in some ways. You don't really know how much it's going to cost you. And then you can have some big surprises by us actually physically putting servers into racks in data centers. And we choose Frankfurt because Frankfurt has got data centers that are all very close together. So that means it's much better for latency. And that's really important when you're choosing where you're going to put your servers, especially if it's in Europe. The speed is very good. I really like Frankfurt for servers there. We have got an option for Canary Wharf if people want to put servers in there, but we'll basically put in servers wherever's convenient, whichever gives us the latency. And we built a platform for building software. This is a live demo. You can go and have a look at that. And it's a platform for us. We've got Gantt charts. We've got this thing. This is, for instance, this is demo data, so you can go and have a play with it. We've got flow charting. We've got all kinds of different things we can do. We do a lot with DVLA and vehicle stuff, so we can go. It tells you what it is. It also tells you what the CO2 usage. We have actually just implemented being able to tell you how long it takes to get from one place to another, and we can actually work out the CO2 usage of a car or a van or a vehicle based on that. That's part of the Intelligent Wolf framework, is to be able to access data outside of itself and be able to understand it. So there we are, and then it'll auto fill that in. Very exciting. So this is the kind of thing. But what's really special about our Intelligent Wolf framework is the AI. So it's able to generate dashboards and provide information based on just asking it a question. So, for instance, I can put, tell me about our sales for the last 2 years. Okay. I can just ask it any old question that you like. Give it a second, drink some coffee while it's having a think. Now, what we're actually doing is we're actually using AI to interrogate the internal data in it, but we can also use AI to integrate that. So this is being produced by AI completely. So we can do other things like, let's say, build me an example of a sales process, including telephone. I'll just make up something in my head. And what it'll do is I'll go off and have a little think, as you do. Currently exploring vector databases and things like that. MariaDB, the latest versions have vector built into them, which is fantastic. And it's a way of keeping AI happy. I'll just ask you something else. It just went into a little craziness there. But it's a way of keeping AI present. So a lot of you probably don't know how this works, but AI is taught a load of stuff, but it generally isn't up to date. So by using vector databases, we can keep AI up to date. We did develop our own way of doing it. So that AI has just drawn this chart. So we've got a lead in qualification. Is it qualified? Close it, lost. Otherwise, we go through more things as well. Proposal sent, no. Close, lost. You can refine that. And here's some leads that we can actually use this process with. You can ask it questions that are outside itself. Now, obviously, this is untuned, so this is specifically for the demo. But obviously, when it's tuned to someone's data, and it can analyze your data really in depth. So not only have we got a way of building really fast, mobile compliant web solutions that replace most of our customers, except for probably one, is where we're taking broken, not working systems and just doing a complete rebuild. Or the other thing we can do is we can take systems that need to talk to each other, aren't talking, and make them talk. there's all kinds of things we can do with that. I'll have another coffee while this is thinking along. So it's, yeah, it just wants a weather. It's because it's early in the morning. I'll just ask you a weather report for anywhere. There's always when you're demonstrating things that don't work great. There you go. So, for instance, current weather in London, UK, and it's just looked up the weather, and it's actually built a spreadsheet. We've got a spreadsheet component we built. It's very basic, but it allows you to download it to Excel and that sort of thing. But what it does is, once it's trained, of course, it will generate really good dashboards and spreadsheets and all kinds of things from your data. We've also got proper theming as well, so you can actually change your theme. So we can actually build systems that are corporate and have that corporate look and feel about them, and it is lightning fast as well. And that's a lot to do with MariaDB being at the back of it. And our partnership with MariaDB allows us to have that sort of different view of things. We have access to a lot of interesting tech that normal people don't get, and we're very invested in development of databases and how because it's such a big part of Wolfstack, having MariaDB, having Galera cluster, having MaxScale in place. And if one of the things, do talk to us if you want to talk about databases. We love it. We love databases. And we love object storage and all those sorts of things, and anything with tech. So we'd be delighted to talk to you. Our website's wolf.uk.com. You can contact us at sales.wolf.uk.com. We are happy to link you up with MariaDB if you'd like to look down that road, and we can do joint discussions. If you've got database issues that we can solve, we do migrations all the time from different databases over to MariaDB. I'm always excited about the speed differences, and you show some of the data and you're like, so have a really good day. wolf.uk.com is our website. Go to website. That's this one. Please do get in touch with us, and we'd be really excited to talk to anyone who's interested in having some software development done, or in database migration, in anything to do with IT really.